This is Spunky,
and Snarky.
and we say,
Welcome to the show. Welcome back. So it's getting late in September. I can't believe how this year is flying by. Not that 2020 is real life anyway. But as it moves along, it's kind of crazy.
I still think we're in March.
It's like the summer's over and my dreams of summer concerts and fun times have long left me.
And it's soon going to be fall.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to Halloween shenanigans, but then poor kids probably can't trick or treat this year and all that kind of stuff. But on an up note, today we're looking back at one of my favorite childhood things. Actually, not really childhood, because I got into Pokemon when I was in high school because I was a dork and was still into this kind of thing in high school. I love the games, I love the shows, and I didn't give a fuck because I loved it. And I still play Pokemon Go today. So today we're going to look back on a very special episode of Pokemon, aka one of the ones I remember, which is Here Comes the Squirtle Squad. Squirtle is one of the cutest Pokemons. He's one of the ones you can get right at the beginning of the game. And this is a cute episode about him and his gang of pranksters. But we'll get more into that in a minute.
Today we're watching the Pokemon episode Here Comes the Squirtle Squad from Season 1, Episode 12. Pokemon follows Ash Ketchum and his Pokemon Pikachu as they go through different towns to catch Pokemon and battle other trainers so Ash can become a Pokemon Master. Pokemon is currently in its 23rd season. It started on April 1st, 1997 in Japan on TV Tokyo, and in the United States in first-run syndication from September 8th, 1998 on various networks, and is currently on Netflix.
Before we get into the episode, I just want to mention that a lot of people think like Pikachu is like the ultimate Pokemon because he's the cutest or whatever. But in the story of Pokemon, the whole thing was when you turn a certain age, you get to become a Pokemon master. So Ash is supposed to go and get a Pokemon on this particular day, and he can choose from Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander. Those are the three Pokemon. Well, Ash accidentally sleeps in and gets there, and all the Bulbasaurs, Charmanders, and Squirtles are gone. And they're left with the experimental Pikachu that no one wants because he shocks everyone. So basically, Pikachu is like the mutt that no one wants. So in this episode, it starts off and the announcer kind of explains that Ash had just caught a Bulbasaur. And then he also just got a Charmander because they had found this poor Charmander who was abandoned because he was like caught in the rain. And if his tail flame goes out, then he was going to die. But they protected him. So at least that's a cute story. And so Charmander became another cute member of Ash's team. So they're going along and Ash is pretty cocky because now he's got Pikachu, Charmander, and Bulbasaur. Like he's got a pretty crack team and he's feeling good. And they're going to the next town when suddenly he falls down a hole. Like he found the gap and stepped into it. And they're like, what the hell? And they look up and there's these like Squirtles laughing at them. So we got like one Squirtle with, as Snarky put it, he's got the new wave shades and everyone else has some like John Lennon circular shades. So there's this like gang of Squirtles who are like playing tricks on people. So this cave looks like 2 stories deep, but Ash just comes like climbing out of it.
Yeah, they just climb out like nothing. No rope or anything.
No. So they're all like, what is going on with these Squirtles? Because don't they know dangerous jokes are nothing to laugh about?
Dangerous jokes are nothing to laugh about. Squirtle Squad forever. Sorry, I had to do that because they have the John Lennon glasses. So Ash consults his Pokédex, and it tells him all about Squirtles and their attacks.
And time out for one moment because I'm like, Squirtle was one of those starter Pokemon. So didn't you already know about Squirtle like from the get-go?
Apparently he didn't do his research.
Like that's like I'm gonna be a lion tamer, but then I see a lion in the
You're
wilderness
like, let me
and
look
don't
this,
know
let me
what.
Google that.
Let me Google what's up with these lions. They have teeth and they eat people? Really?
What?
Really? Just saying.
The more you know, Star. So Ash says to Misty and Brock, his friends, that if he can catch a Squirtle, Gary will never beat him. I guess that's his rival or something.
Yeah. Gary don't even care about him, to be honest.
So he tells Pikachu to blast him with his
electric shock. Na 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 na.
So one of the John Lennon Squirtles sacrifices himself and jumps in front of the New Wave Squirtle leader and gets electrocuted. Pikachu and the New Wave Squirtle have a stare-down, complete with like Western music in the background.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's all that.
So yeah, they have a Western stare-down and don't mess around with a guy in shades.
Oh no. Although no one seems to give a fuck about the one who's lying on the ground dead.
He'll be fine. He just fainted. Then you hear the other Squirtle say something to New Wave Squirtle.
A siren goes off in the background and they're like, oh, we gotta bounce because the Popo's coming.
So they all run off down the road, leaving everyone confused.
You hear the siren and Officer Jenny shows up and they're like, oh, Officer Jenny, it's you from Viridian City. And she's like, do I know you? Oh, that must have been my cousin. So apparently there's like
I don't know.
12 cousins that are identical, sound the same, look the same, and are all named Jenny. This is a running gag in Pokemon. The Officer Jenny and the Nurse Joys, they all look the same and have the same name. So they go to the station and Jenny tells them all about the Squirtle Squad and how they've been pulling pranks because they've like been deserted by their masters. And so they have nothing to do but play tricks on people.
And they don't trust humans.
Yeah, so it's a sad story.
So we then cut to Team Rocket spying on the gang. Meowth, Team Rocket's Pokemon. He can talk where the other Pokemon can't. He's got like a Brooklyn accent. And Meowth and James talk about food, and Jessie gets mad because she's the only one who cares about capturing Ash's Pikachu.
And she pulls out her Baka fan and swats him one.
Her stomach then growls and she says, I guess it is time to eat, and pulls out a picnic basket. They then turn around and see that they are surrounded by the Squirtle Squad. They say something and James asks Meowth to translate. He says they're saying, give us your food or else. Jessie says, you're threatening us? We're Team Rocket. We threaten. They say, let's show these little creeps as they pull out their Pokeballs, and then they fall down into a pit.
So the Squirtle Squad ties up Team Rocket as they start to chow down on their food. The funniest thing is, Jessie is all complaining like, not our donuts and eclairs, when clearly Squirtle Squad is eating rice balls and some cutlet type sandwiches, but no one decided to care or like animate some donuts or like try to even turn it into a donut, which is hilarious. So Jessie decides to try to bargain with the Squirtle Squad and be like, you know, you guys could help us catch Pikachu. And the Squirtle Squad is like, humans can't be trusted. So Meowth is like, oh, well, you can trust me. These two are just my pets. I control them. The Squirtles are like, okay. We'll see what this Meowth has to say and untie him and like slowly decide that they're going to trust Meowth.
So we cut over to Misty, Brock, and Ash and Pikachu chilling by the riverbank. Misty is fishing and says she caught something. It was a member of the Squirtle Squad, which then sprays water at them. They're all wet, and Pikachu is pissed and shoots off some electricity and ended up electrocuting the whole gang because they're all wet. So then the Squirtle comes out of the water, and then Ash says that he's sick of these pranks and sends Pikachu to fight it. Squirtle goes in its shell and rams into the Pikachu, knocking him into the water. And then we see a Goldeen, which is a fish Pokemon, swim by and start coming for Pikachu.
It's like a scene from Jaws.
Yeah, it's like, Pikachu, swim for your life. And then the Goldeen stabs Pikachu in the butt out of the water.
Yeah, Goldeen was a little horny and he used his horn for attack.
So Pikachu lands on the grass, beaten up. Ash runs towards Pikachu, but is captured by a lasso. The Squirtle Squad got them with Meowth. We then cut to commercial break by playing Guess That Pokemon. Can you guess who it is? It's fucking Squirtle, duh.
So they cut to the Squirtle Squad's like secret lair, which is in this cave, and we got Brock, Ash, and Misty like tied up to this rock where Pikachu's like in a cage, like dying. Meowth's all like, I'm in charge now, and pokes at Ash, who bites his tail. And Ash is trying to tell the Squirtle Squad, like, don't trust Team Rocket. They're up to no good. And Meowth's all like, well, who are you going to believe? Like, me or these lousy humans? And the Squirtles are like, we ain't trusting no humans. So Pikachu's like in the cage and they need a potion to heal him, but they don't have any on them. So Brock's like, we got to get some from town. And so Ash is like, I'm begging you, like, let me go to town and get this potion so we can save Pikachu. And they're like, we're not going to trust you. You're just going to like run off and abandon him. Like our traitors abandoned us. Ash is like, no, I promise I'll go. I need to save Pikachu. And he starts crying. So Squirtle kind of believes him. So he's like, all right, here's the deal. You can go into town, but you better be back by tomorrow at noon or else we're dyeing Misty's hair purple. So Ash is like, no, I will be back. And he runs off into the sunlight. But Meowth is secretly thinking, well, even if he does come back, we won't be here.
Ash runs and says to himself that he'll get Pikachu that super potion. He then trips and falls down. He then gets back up and keeps running.
Nobody's gonna break his stride. Nobody's gonna hold him down.
Oh no, he's got to keep on moving. He then comes to a rickety old bridge, which is one of my worst nightmares. He continues forward and he says, don't look down, because he is the bridge. He is the ravine. He is scared.
Okay, thank you. True Beverly Hills.
He then nearly falls through one of the rotten planks. He gets up and keeps trying to make his way across. He nearly falls through one of the rotten planks again and is holding onto the rope when the other side of the bridge breaks and he falls into the ravine, into the river. And he's dead, and that's the end of the episode. So thoughts on the episode? Just kidding. He survives, but then Ash gets stabbed in the butt by Goldie.
So somehow Ash survives. He's got his big stick and he's walking along and he finally makes it to the edge of the town, which looks like a ghost town. We're like, oh shit, is it like deserted? Have Gengar taken over? Which would make me happy because I love Gengar. So he walks up to the shop and as he's about to open the door swings open and hits him in the face and knocks him out, and out walks Gary, his rival. So night falls and Ash is still knocked out. So back at the cave, Meowth is like wondering what Jesse and James are up to. The night passes and soon it's the next day and Ash is still passed out on the side of the building when Jesse and James show up at the shop and pull out some ice guns. So they're like, if you don't want to be put to ice, you're going to give us all your flash powder and dental floss. And he's like, the flash powder is going to be used to scare off the Squirtle Squad, which the town should be happy about since they've been wreaking havoc. And the dental floss is for our teeth. So after they leave, Ash finally wakes up and rushes in the shop. Like, I need some super potion. And everyone pulls a gun on him. And he's like, I got money. And Officer Jenny shows up and she's like, he's not with Team Rocket. And Jenny helps take him back to the cave. But they get to the creepy bridge and they're like, oh, we're going to have to find some way around. Like you were going to cross the creepy bridge with your motorcycle anyway. So you see Team Rocket like in their Meowth hot air balloon flying by and they're up to no good. So eventually Jenny and Ash get to another side of the cave. Jenny's like, I can't get through with my adult body. So why don't you just crawl through and I'll wait here for you. So he crawls through, but he can't really see. And then he remembers, oh, I got a Charmander who can light the way. He brings out Charmander, who's like the cutest thing ever. And they get through and Ash looks around and nobody's there. And then he walks out the cave and he sees the Squirtle Squad and Meowth. And he's like, where are my friends? What did you do to them? And Misty's like, I'm right here.
Can I just add that crawling through a narrow cave is my second worst nightmare because I'm also claustrophobic.
Add some like Indiana Jones bugs.
And some spiders and shit. Yeah. And some clowns. And I'd be like, nope.
It's like the scene from Indiana Jones where she has to put her hand in the thing to pull the lever, but there's all the bugs there.
Yeah, and I told you and Dad when we were watching that, kiss your ass goodbye, because there's no fucking way I'm putting my hand in that. True story.
Rude.
So Misty asks, where's the super potion for Pikachu? And then Ash gives it to her and she sprays it on Pikachu. Ash says to Misty, well, you're still a redhead. Brock says that the Squirtle Squad was bluffing. Misty says they like to play tricks, but they never change girls' natural color. The Squirtles smile and speak in agreement.
Suddenly they hear a blast, and it seems that Team Rocket wants to drop a bomb on them.
Baby.
So during the blast, Meowth like grabs Pikachu and they put out the ladder and Meowth gets up into the hot air balloon and Ash is like, we gotta run for cover because they're starting to drop more bombs on them. And suddenly he stops when he hears the Squirtle cry, and it's the New Wave Squirtle. And he's fallen and he can't get up. He needs a life alert because he's on his back and he can't get up. So Ash is like, I gotta save him. So he goes to run towards him when another bomb goes off and he dives to protect the Squirtle from the blast. And afterwards, he's like, are you okay? And the Squirtle just like smiles. And Misty yells that Team Rocket is dropping more bombs. And Ash tells New Wave Squirtle to just save himself and not worry about him. And Squirtle is just so moved that he gets up and he lifts Ash over his head and is crying and just runs.
Love
runs
lifts us up
where we belong.
Where the eagles fly.
On a mountain high. And they avoid like all the bombs. Like he's zigging and zagging. Like this is no joke. And they finally get to safety. Team Rocket is like, we're going to get medals because we're getting rid of the Squirtle Squad and going to save the town. And everyone's going to love us.
But Ash with the New Wave Squirtle says, not so fast. He then orders Squirtle to use his water gun attack, which he does, and sprays the balloon with the water, making a hole in it. And James accidentally drops Pikachu in the confusion out of the balloon. And Ash is like, no, and like does like a running slow-mo, like Chariots of Fire, and like boom, boom, and like catches him. And then they blast off again. But there's a big fire from the blast. Officer Jenny shows up and says, if the fire keeps burning, the whole town could go up in smoke. So Ash says, don't worry, he has an idea. And Ash says to the squirrels, if you combine your water guns together, you can put out the fire, which they do. So then we cut to later where Officer Jenny is giving the Squirtle Squad a certificate thanking them for saving the town from the fire. They also appoint them as the town's firefighters and give them cute little jackets to wear. The gang and Pikachu are walking along the road, going off to their next adventure. And when Misty says, hey Ash, that Squirtle is following us. Ash then turns around and sees the New Wave Squirtle. He says, hey, do you want to come along with us? And the New Wave Squirtle slowly goes, yeah, and takes off his sunglasses. I'll see you in Miami. Won't get fooled by humans again. And he takes off his sunglasses, and then you see his beautiful sparkly eyes.
He's so happy. And then he
runs into Ash's arms. It's like, I had the time of my life.
And I never felt this way before.
Never felt, and I swear it's the truth.
And I owe it all to you.
So Ash says, welcome to the team, Squirtle. And then he's like, I guess I caught another Pokemon. And Misty says, caught? What do you mean caught? And Ash says, what's the difference? He's on our side now. And then we have the Pokemon rap, and that's the end of the episode.
Ash sounds like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Which is funny, because I thought he sounded like Rocky Squirrel from Rocky and Bullwinkle, the original, not the new one.
He's got that nasal, thing.
So before we move on, I did a Photoshop of New Wave Squirtle of what he looked like in the 80s.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to get your reaction on the show.
Is that blonde hair? Or
yeah, I gave him a little blonde hair.
Oh my God.
And I gave him a Pokeball bolo tie.
That's pretty fucking funny.
I'll put it on our website so you guys can see it, or Instagram, which we're on now. Anyways, thoughts on the episode?
It's cute. I found it really funny, some of the things that were clearly Japanese that they just decided that kids would overlook. But yeah, Squirtle is super cute. Ash is an idiot, and Pikachu can be a little annoying too. But yeah, Pokemon is fun.
I was too old for Pokemon.
So was I, but I didn't care.
I was a senior in high school when this came out. But I remember watching some of these episodes with you, when they aired on Saturday mornings. But I was never really super into Pokemon, but it was fine for what it was. All right, and I guess we'll see you in the brain basement where we'll talk more about Pokemon. right, welcome to the Brain Basement, where today we're going to talk about Snarky's story about the dude who sang the Pokemon theme, the games, and other Pokemon stuff. So take it away.
I've been a pretty big fan of Pokemon for a while. So me and my friend were at this anime convention and we didn't really have anything to do. So we are just kind of hanging around. And then there was a panel with a guy who sang the Pokemon theme. So we're like, let's just go. And so the guy was kind of cool. Apparently he sung backup for Michael Jackson before. Like, he's a legit singer. Everyone was curious, like, what team he was on because Pokemon Go was just out. And he did a whole song about how he's on the blue team, and it was kind of funny. But then some people wished him like a happy birthday. And that's when it kind of took a little bit of a weird turn because he's all like, oh, I don't really believe like when you're born is your real birthday. And me and my friend kind of like gave each other a look like, oh God, is this going to be like some Scientology weird stuff? So we're like, okay, what's going on? He went on to say that he believes that when the egg is made, that's when you're actually born because it's proven that eggs react to sound, which may or may not be true. And I'm like, okay, this is just something only a man could come up with because it's absolutely ridiculous. But, people believe all sorts of things, so whatever. But then people in the audience thought it would be funny to sing Happy Egg Day to him. And me and my friend were just like, nope. And just sat there and didn't say shit. And we were in the second row. But he has a right to believe what he wants to believe. He seemed like a generally cool person. It was just a little weird. But he was really cool as far as singing. He did stuff with his like mixer and made some music with people's comments and stuff. And overall, it was kind of an entertaining experience.
So we played the Game Boy games. You had the like red and blue.
I was so jealous in high school because this dude had like the green version you could only get in Japan. And I think he actually spoke Japanese, so he's probably able to read it. But yeah, we never got the green version, which is the Bulbasaur version in America.
Again, I wasn't really into Pokemon, but I would play like the one you weren't playing.
So we could trade because there were game exclusives.
And then later on, we had the N64. We would play Pokemon Snap.
It was fun.
I just remember you'd pelt the like Snorlax with like stuff, and then he got mad.
Yeah, or you'd pelt apples at the Charmeleon, and then it would fall into the lava, and it'd come out and evolve into Charizard and basically come after you.
And then spray fire at everything.
Fire!
So apparently they're coming out with, I don't know if it's a sequel or if it's like a remake. It's supposed to be coming out on the Switch soon. I don't have a Switch, but maybe in the future we will.
So I play Pokemon Go. Now, when it originally came out, I did not want to get into it because every time I get into a new Pokemon game, it like absorbs my life.
Soul.
And yeah, I've been playing it for like 3 years. So yeah. But it's like there's all these new Pokemon and I don't know anything. I think I know like 250. Anything after that, I'm like, I don't know. But some of them are cute. There was a little Daruma one that was cute. I tend to like the ghosty Pokemons. Gengar was my faves. There's more like cool ghosty one. There's like a candle, but I can't keep up with them. But when I went to Japan, there's a Pokemon Center in Sunshine City in Ikebukuro, and they had a life-size Pokestop, which I thought was really cool. You couldn't touch it or spin it, but it was just cool to see one in real life.
All right, we'll talk more about our favorite Pokemon in the music spotlight. Welcome to our music spotlight, where today our topic is our favorite Pokemon and songs that represent them. So first up on the list is Jigglypuff, and the song we chose to represent it is by a 80s hair metal band called Kix, and the song's called Don't Close Your Eyes.
Poor Jigglypuff is just trying to serenade you with his love, but everyone just keeps falling asleep.
Yeah, it doesn't realize that its beautiful singing and dulcet tones just puts everyone asleep. And then he gets pissed and will take his marker and draw mustaches on you.
Or just draw random things on your face. But that's what you get for not listening to his beautiful music. Anyway, speaking of sleep, number 2 on our list
is my favorite Pokemon. My spirit animal, one would say.
Which is Snorlax. The big, lovable,
lazy
cat bear combo. He likes to sleep.
Eat.
and sleep more. So we picked Bruno Mars's The Lazy Song because
Today he don't
just
feel like doing
just
anything.
don't feel like doing anything. He just wants to lay.
In his bed.
Yeah.
Which, it's a good song. It's fun. It totally represents Snorlax.
I remember also when I was in Japan, I caught my first Snorlax in Pokemon Go, and I was so happy. And then the last time I was in Japan, I caught an evil Snorlax, and I was like,
What?
I love evil Pokemon. They have red eyes and they emit evil, and it makes me happy.
Well, because you're the queen of evil. So number 3 on the list is your favorite.
Which I already mentioned, which is Gengar.
And for Gengar, we picked a two-tone ska classic. The specials with Ghost Town. This town is coming like a ghost town. Cause bands won't play no more. Too much fighting on the dance floor. I love this song.
It has a good vibe to it.
Yeah, and it's got the ghosty sounds ooh,
Yeah.
It reminds me of Boo from Super Mario Brothers. The music that they play when you're in the haunted places, and then if you face the Boo, then he gets scared.
He covers up his face.
Yeah. Number 4 is another one of my favorites. I always picked him as my starter, which is Charmander.
Because he's adorable.
And one of your favorite bands.
Twisted Sister. Again, we keep picking Twisted Sister songs for our list, but I love Twisted Sister. And the fire still burns. Because in that previous episode where he almost got his fire put out the rain.
So sad.
But his fire still burns on his tail, so he's good.
And number 5 is Dragonite.
Which is also one of Spunky's favorites.
Yes. I call him Derpy Dragon because he's a little derpy and he's a dragon.
He's
and
cute.
We picked for him Jeffrey Osborne. On the Wings of Love.
Only the two of us together flying high on the wings of love. Yeah, Dragonite is also RM's from BTS's favorite Pokemon, just in case you didn't know.
For our honorable mention, we picked NWA Straight Outta Compton.
Now, the reason we picked this is because all of our favorite Pokemon we listed, along with Squirtle, today's special Pokemon, are straight out of Kanto. The Kanto district in Pokemon, because they're a part of the original 150.
And that's it for our music spotlight. If you want to check out these songs in full, you can check them out on our website.
Well, thanks for joining us on our little Pokemon retrospective. Pokemon has been such a part of my life for a long time, and I still love it, even if it's dorky, but it's fun.
You're not the only one because it's still super popular among everybody, so don't feel too bad.
I'll still love my Gengar forever.
I'll be loving you forever.
If you've never heard of Pokemon, well, you've been living under a rock.
Because it's still on.
On and on until the break of dawn. So, as we go into October, we're going to be having a super long Halloween fest. Because we're just going to have Halloween all month. Because that's how we roll. We love our Halloween. And we hope you stick around and listen and enjoy.
Yeah. So if you want to drop us a line, you can email us at spunkyandSnarkyshow@gmail.com. You can go to our website where you can see my new wave Squirtle art at spunkyandSnarkyshow.wordpress.com. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, you can go to our Anchor page, which is anchor.fm/spunkyandSnarkyshow. And we also have a Facebook page now and an Instagram, so if you want to give us a like on those, you can as well. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in October where we get a little spooky and spunky.
Because
and
love
snarky.
is kind of crazy with a spooky little girl like you.
The song reminds me of Taza too, with Top and his shirtlessness, but that's beside the point.
that's not a bad thing.
No,
Anyway.
he's my boo.
On that note, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.